Hey there, want to do some armchair traveling with me? I just got back from my Sketching Spain trip to Barcelona, and then I went on to Sevilla for another week, and I just completed my travel journal, and I'm excited to share it with you. I personalized the cover by painting on watercolor paper and then gluing those on. These are actually pieces of beach glass that I found near the Salvador Dali home. And I personalized the spine and hung some fun things down from the spine after poking a hole in it. I always start my journal with some thoughts about the preparation and where I'm going, and I downloaded that from the internet. That looks like an old map, but it's really not. And of course, as always, I had sane packing planned, but fell into the stupid shopping trap. So I usually record the things I'm taking and what I'm thinking about ahead of time. And then the day of the trip always feels like a wind tunnel to me. So I usually have that going at the beginning of the journal, is just kind of recording what was going on and where my crazy brain was flying to before actually taking off. Finally, I get to Barcelona and meet up with some friends for a wonderful drink on their rooftop. And then this was a sketch done in a courtyard of the hotel I was staying in. I started the sketch while actually in the courtyard, but I took pictures and I finished the sketch working from the photograph because I didn't have time to do all the detail while I was sitting there. I will work pretty much half and half from on site, like these were done in this fun little cafe, and this was sketched while looking out the window. So I do a lot on site and looking in plein air, so to speak, but I also work from photos. So the Sketching Spain trip, we had 9 ladies this trip, and they were all wonderful fun. Here's a page where I had actually done the vignettes or the frames before leaving, and it just worked out that the frames were perfect for these small sketches done from the San Roque Hotel. We went to the Salvador Dali home, and everybody worked in monochromatic tones. That was really fun. There really is an egg on top of his home. And then in this fun little town of Cadaqués, we found a great restaurant, the Pizzeria Cesar. And one of my new favorite things is to do a single line or contour drawing on an accordion folded paper. And this is super fun to do if you have other people who are having the meal with you who are into it. Or in this case, I think I worked from photographs. And then I did a demo on how to capture stone on the old stone buildings in Besalú. I like working with text blocks. You'll see a bunch of different kinds in this book. Here is that single line drawing again. This was fun because everybody participated and we all worked on our own single line drawings. It was so much fun that I then went on to do the single line or contour drawings of all the participants. I know they're not terribly flattering, but hopefully nobody cared. The thing about the contour drawing is they're supposed to look wonky. Here's a little map fold. Sometimes I'll turn my book and get my text or my image going the other way. Here's another page where I had rotated it. These 2 strips were actually on the book before the trip. I had prepared the book with some things. When I got to this location, there was so much beautiful mosaic to look at that I just made those strips into a mosaic. I bought this book at one of the museum gift shops. It's just beautiful. Here are some vintage stamps of Spain. And can you see this background blue area? That was actually something I prepared before going on the trip as well. I ended up not working in that little vignette, but it was a good background for the stamps. And then these stamps down here were put on before I left. So I do a lot of page preparing before I go on my trip. Oh yeah, here are some things that were just funny issues that we wanted to forget about. And the mosaic and the tile work that is all through Spain is just so spectacular. So here were 2 pages where I fooled around with that a little bit. And then I started keeping a list of my travel rules. The new one that's the most important is never wash all of your pants in the same load. You can imagine that was a bit of a challenge. And I just loved this. We stayed in a not-so-luxury apartment, and I asked for better towels or more towels or any kind of service and got that kind of snarky note. So I thought it was funny. The Moreau Museum was absolutely gorgeous. And then I had a little time waiting in the lobby, so I did this collage sketch, basically, of the people. And then I added this background after I got back. Again, just, the thing about a travel journal is it can hold just little bits and pieces of ephemera that tell a story, and I think otherwise would be lost. This was such a cool thing. This artisan drew the shoe right there in front of me when I asked him for a business card. It's not that easy to draw a shoe. Oh, this is so much fun. The window out of my apartment in Barcelona, I realized all of these railings were different. So it's really fun recording those. And then here are just some of the political banners that were hanging this year. And this is a typical folk dance that's done on Sunday mornings in front of the cathedral in Barcelona. I started the sketch while on site, but there were so many tourists there. It was just too jammed, so I stopped sketching, took some photos, and then finished the ink drawing at a later date. And same thing, we were walking towards the dance, stopped for some pomegranate juice, and I just did a real quick outline drawing of the pomegranate, took a picture, and then I added the details later. And here are the participants from the Sketching Spain 2018 trip. So much fun. Here we are at the Parkway. And then these were just lingering images. I used a bit of wrapping paper and put down some images of things that I wanted to remember. So these were done from my memory, actually. Then I went on to Sevilla. And again, I'm turning the book so that I could get the height of this room recorded. And I did that on site. And then this was a page that already had the vignette frames, and they worked perfectly, especially for the flamenco dancer. I realized there's no way I could capture the full body movement, and I was just so struck by the hands and the movement of the dress. So that's what I focused on there. I'm telling you, the tiles and the mosaic all through Spain just knock my socks off. It's so beautiful. And then this was another fun afternoon sitting out in a courtyard at a restaurant, sketching this building, but then the weather turned, so we had to abandon our work outside and went in. I hadn't finished much on this page, so what I decided to do is put this track writing, which you can see a little better there, just to fill up the space, and also play with what's called the local color, just to capture some of those beautiful, warm, creamy colors that are on all the buildings in Sevilla. Just a quick sketch of all the people that were at this cafe. And different ways of doing the text blocks. And here you can see I've worked on separate paper. This paper was in my purse. It was smaller, obviously, than bringing the whole book. So I could draw and sketch without having the book with me in pen, and then I added the color later. And for this day, there were just so many highlights that I just dedicated these 2 pages mainly to text with some illustrations. And then this is a memory map of the day we spent going up to the White Villages. This is a map of how to find our room in this one hotel in Sevilla. So I attached it, folded it up, and attached it there. We had breakfast one morning in a bar. It was great. And then this is just, again, anywhere you look up, you see these buildings with the most amazing tile work. And then this is looking out our balcony at this fabulous river and bridge. And then here you see again the text block. This I did all on the balcony, so this was not done from a photograph. Talking about photographs, I have a portable printer, and I printed those 2 photos off. We saw another night of flamenco in this location. And then we went to the market and did a cooking class. I'd been to the market a couple of times and hadn't noticed, but finally I looked up, and the whole ceiling is just full of these banners and flags and all these different colors. That was really fun. And I could not sketch during the cooking class, so this whole page is a collage of photos done from the photos that I took while at the cooking class. And then another memory map with a key. The different colors indicate the different walks that we took. And then we took the train to Madrid, and this was looking out the train window. And this was fun. I did this on site, and the train was pretty bumpy, so I couldn't get too much pen work, but it worked fine for the watercolor. And here's that single line approach again. This is the contour line, but instead of connecting everything, I just did them separately in these little vignettes. Just super fun to do that for a meal. And then we went into the Prado, had a good time. And then it was a long ride home, and I just wanted to tell the story of coming home. And then when I got home, I took the label off of a container of olive oil that we had purchased in Spain, and I took the label off and put it on the page just because I really liked the label so much, and then added some of that. I had some blank pages at the end of the book, so I wanted to fill it up. And I went through my stack of ephemera, or interesting bits, and I just glued down some things that I wanted to be able to look back on. And the black and white is just added just to try to tie the page in visually. And then this is a sketch from a painting that was done by a street artist. And he was painting a different bridge, but I really liked his technique. So I studied the colors he used. Some of these colors I wouldn't normally have put in there. And I altered the view a bit to include the apartment that we were staying in, and then did a text block here slightly differently. But that was a really fun thing to do after we got home. And that's the end of the book. I just keep my highlights and notes to self for the next trip. And that's it. And you can see, especially from the back, I'm working in a handbook that is 5.5 by 5.5 inches square. The paper is drawing paper, but as you can see with this book, it holds the watercolor pretty well. And it's nice and sturdy and allows me to hang things from it. You can find information about Sketching Spain 2019 at either the adlermarlowe.com website or on my website, jcmamet.net.